What is up? First of the floor, I'm Jake Eisenberg, joined by Dan Greenberg of Boston Sports. The Boston Celtics just won 108 to 100 in Philadelphia to go up 2-1 in the series. Thank the goddamn
fucking God. Thank fucking God.
Oh, man. Yeah, I mean, the playoffs are hard. I think, coming to the series on paper, it looks like one of those. I picked a sweep, wrong, obviously, because I'm always scared. So I was like, you know what? Let's pretend like I'm not scared. And I was lucky enough to be in the building for game 2, which was.
Oh, so it was your fault, is what you're.
Yeah. We were under. See, this thing. We now know that the game 2 curse is more powerful than the Jake Eisenberg bump, because that's the first game that they've lost with me in the building, moving to 4-1. But these guys love to win on the road. But credit the Sixers, man, for making this difficult. There's a variety of reasons why I think the game tonight in the series has been a little bit closer than it maybe should have been or feels like it should have been. But at the end of the day, winning in the playoffs are hard. Look at what's going on around the NBA, whether it's the Knicks, the Spurs, like 5 of the 8 series being tied at 1-1. The Sixers are playing well, and the Celtics got this one out of the mud thanks to Jalen and Jason down the stretch.
Yeah, I just think it's really important to remember it's about 16 wins. It's not about how you should win or how they should go. It's just about when the final buzzer sounds, do you have at least one more point than your opponent? And however you have to get to that position, that's what matters. Some nights are going to be like game 1 where you shoot 60% from 3, everyone plays well, you blow a team out. More often than not, they're going to require games like this. Just think back to the title run, right? The huge game 3 that they won in Indiana. They were down 18 points with about 5 minutes left in the third quarter. Right? You have to win on the road, and you have to be able to execute in high leverage situations. And I feel like before the playoffs, when you asked me who I wanted to play, Orlando or Philly, I said it doesn't matter because the Celtics are going to be presented with opportunities that they're going to have to execute in. And if they do, they can beat anybody. If they don't, they can lose to the Magic. They can lose to the Sixers. And this series alone has already shown that to be true. They didn't execute down the stretch in game 2. They did execute in the stretch of game 3. Which one do you think that they won?
Yeah. Joe Mazzulla said towards the end of the regular season, there's no difference between the preseason, the regular season, and the playoffs unless you execute, rebound, don't turn the ball over. All of those things apply no matter what. Obviously, everything is magnified and intensified in the playoffs. But at the end of the day, you got to make a play.
You got to make a shot. You got to get a rebound. You got to get a stop. Like it's non-negotiable.
Derek White has one of the biggest plays of the game, if not the biggest play of the game, with the offensive rebound.
Let me ask you this: does he have the 2 biggest offensive rebounds of this era in the playoffs?
Miami game 6.
Yeah, Miami game 6 with hair, and then tonight. Yeah. I can't think of a bigger set of offensive rebounds. And I'm like deranged enough to where I would remember every.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if anyone knows the offensive rebound power rankings of this era of Celtics playoff basketball, it's the guy that's on this podcast.
Like I'm sure there's like an Al Horford one in there. I'm sure there's like a Jason Tatum one in there. But I mean, listen, he had to find a way to redeem himself. And I think as we're watching it, everyone's like, Joe's got to pull him. Joe's got to pull him. And I think the rage was ready to be like, Mazzulla can't adjust. He can't full rotation. Well, what does he do? He trusted Derek White. He left him out there. Couldn't make a shot to save his life, but created the opportunity for you to create some of the biggest shots of the entire game.
Man, because I was down the stretch. I'm like, do you go with Baylor? Do you go with
Walsh? I don't even think did Walsh even play in the second half?
No, he did. He did.
I'm saying in the fourth quarter. I'm in the fourth quarter. I don't think he did.
He played 5 minutes in the second half and was
all in that third quarter, I think.
Yeah, fourth quarter, 0. The fourth quarter was 6 guys. It was
Jalen,
Jason, Eric, Vooch, Pritchard, and Baylor played 3 minutes and 44 seconds. So he opted for Baylor instead of Walsh in the fourth quarter, basically with those minutes. And I think as good as Walsh has defensively been the best on Maxey. I thought
Mhm.
it was unbelievable as well. The offense was
And if
really
you remember, Baylor had that rebound and big steal in his fourth quarter minutes. So it's like I knew because Walsh had played like 5 straight minutes to close the third. I thought like, okay, you sit him in the fourth, but then you bring him up to close because really he was the only one that, because if they were going to play Vooch, you're like, all right, well, they're going to play some drop because like Maxey would just blow right by him. So I was surprised that he didn't get a nod down the stretch, but they went with Derek and Peyton, and obviously both made huge plays down the stretch.
Yeah. And I wonder going forward, we'll get to going forward, but that fourth quarter, I think with about 10 minutes to go, they had 16 turnovers for the game.
Yep.
Then they had 1 for the remaining 10 minutes of the fourth quarter. And sometimes it's that simple because it's all connected, obviously. But when you're turning the ball over, and I thought in game 2, Tatum and Jalen just had like those horrendous turnovers that lead to easy buckets for Philly. It's so funny, all regular season, year after year, it's like the offense is this, the offense is that. Even the team in 2024, they didn't shoot the ball particularly well.
But they took care of it.
Fucking playing defense and take care of the ball. You just shrink the game into what you can do. And defensively, this team in the entire Jays era has been elite defensively. And it became very evident early in this game. It's like defend, rebound, don't turn the ball over. And they were defending. The rebounding was the turnovers were not good. And then in the last 10 minutes, I think you did all 3 of those things and you kind of comfortably pulled away.
I mean, listen,
comfortable dish.
In almost every historical, fourth quarter or overall game when the Celtics have ever had a frustrating playoff loss, if they did what they did tonight, 17 turnovers and 21 points off turnovers, like that's why they lost. And all of their losses in the Heat series in 2023, if you look at those, it's the same thing. 18 turnovers, 23 points off turnovers, 17. That's like that's right at the mark of trouble when you have 15 or more turnovers and you're giving up around 20 points off that while you're also having shooting droughts for stretches of that fourth quarter. Like that's where you tend to get into trouble. They were just bailed out by their execution and shot making. And like you said, the ball security over the final 10 minutes. It's like when you can control those things, you don't have empty possessions on one end and you're not giving away free points on the other. The Celtics are really hard to beat because eventually someone's going to make a fucking shot. Yes. And then once they start making shots, their margin for error starts to, increase a little bit.
Yeah. And Mazzulla's, beaten this into us at this point. The reason the turnovers are so important are obviously because one, the biggest thing is you have a 0% chance of scoring on a turnover possession, right?
And like I would much rather take a ill-advised
shot,
just get it on the rim. Exactly. Anything can happen if you get it on the rim.
It's the most important part of it. The second part of it is that when you turn the ball over, especially live, that it leads to easy points for the opposition, which just leads to your offense being more difficult because you got to sprint back, you got to take the ball out of the net, and it becomes this cascading effect. When you're getting stops and you're at least getting shots on goal, and that's why you take those threes, it allows you to set your defense. And if you're able to set your defense, you get a stop, it creates a much easier shot for you on the other end. When you're turning the ball over 17 times, all of these things start to like cascade upon each other, and it makes everything feel worse, especially the offense.
Because then you get tight and then you start panicking. Yes. And then now as the clock is winding down, you only have your total number of possessions is going down. So it's like if you're careless early or you're not executing early and now you're at 6 minutes to go in a 2-possession game, you need to execute. You basically need to play flawless on both ends of the floor, because they weren't really getting stops in the first half of the fourth quarter. The same time that they stopped turning the ball over, they also started getting, solid defensive possessions. Like who would have thought?
So there was the 2 possessions in a row, I think. Tatum and Derek were playing Tatum-Derek 2-man game. And it was one of the most horrific turnovers you'll see, right? Derek threw the ball into the middle of the court and the Sixers got to run out. Then Tatum finds Vooch like over the top on a short roll. He like tries to fit it into a cutter when there's a wide open Baylor Schreiman on the other end.
Or
And
just take the floater, like just
again,
take
shots
the
on
floater.
goal. I
Right.
trust him to make that shot.
Right.
Those two possessions, it's like, okay, it feels like it's not going to happen. From that moment, they stop turning the ball over, and all of these things come together. Part of that coming together is the fact that, man, Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum have been in a lot of these games before, and it's like, as long as they're
Mhm.
there, I've seen them win enough playoff games. I've seen them win a fucking championship, and I know you saw it. Jaylen Brown, a few feet inside the top of the key, in
I was
between the
just
legs,
saying
in
that
between
was
the legs,
game
pull
3
up.
final jumper. That was it. That was
Yeah.
the shot pre-title they never made. That's the one that rimmed out. But ever since he hit that free throw jumper at the end of game 3 to basically win them the title, I just expect that shot to go in now. It's like cosmically their fortune has changed. Same thing with the Tatum threes. Like I just expected those to go in now because they've gotten over the hump, and that's the reward the basketball gods give you once you've earned the right, for those shots to go in. And I think what Jaylen did in that middle part of the fourth quarter, from probably around like 8 minutes to like 2 and change, I think he probably had maybe 5 or 7 points during that stretch. Just really huge makes because they came at the time when Maxey was making buckets. He was making threes. He was making those little fall away baseline jumpers. Like you couldn't respond to those possessions empty. So Jaylen getting to the line, hitting that jumper. I think Tatum maybe had a layup down the stretch there too during that flurry. Like the Jays each gave you like why we say it's better to have both. Like this is why having both makes them one of the, prohibitive favorites in the NBA, because when you are so focused about worrying about one of them, here comes a top 5 NBA player to just bury threes in your eye. And it's just, if you don't pay attention to Tatum and you give Jaylen Brown space to go one-on-one, you don't have the strength to get him from getting to his spot. So you just saw probably in the last 5 minutes of this game, the blueprint of how they can both play to where they're both involved in high leverage situations. And B, you saw what happens when they come through, just like they've done for, 130 playoff games, in their career.
It is incredible. Death, taxes, and
It's
Jason
surreal.
Tatum
It's surreal.
ripping the hearts out of the Philadelphia 76ers in the playoffs. To do it, I think we talked about the Derek White offensive rebound, but you maybe still win the game even if Tatum misses that shot to put them up 6 with 25 seconds to go.
I don't know. I feel like that's like a max
blow
up or something.
But you definitely win the game if you make that shot. You might still win it if you miss, but you definitely still fucking win it if you make that.
That's why the one he made before that, where he reloaded, that made me nervous because there was the hesitation, and oftentimes when you hesitate and like quasi shot pump, shot fake, it throws off your balance. Like that's the one I expected. I thought, okay, this one may not, his weight distribution's all fucked up. Like, of course, that's the one that he makes. The same way, the only shot Derek makes is that end of half, like, prayer contested mid-range jumper. So once he made that one, I knew it's like, all right, if he has a shot for the kill, he's going to take it. And then we saw the second 3.
Well, it was interesting, the Tatum game. I mean, I feel so happy for him, and obviously incredibly relieving and ecstatic that we won this game. But I cannot imagine how good hitting that dagger and the previous 3 felt to him. Not only has he talked about how good it feels to be back on the court and to be grateful to be even playing playoff basketball less than a year removed from tearing his Achilles, but to be in these moments hitting that dagger 3 in Philly.
It's just surreal.
It's absolutely ridiculous. So tonight, he has 25. The 4 rebounds was kind of weird because he had 0 in the first half, but he had 4 in the second half, 7 assists. And Jason Tatum was not part of the problem when it came to turnovers.
Only had one, right? Yeah.
Only one. And maybe the most significant of all of it, 42 minutes and 24 seconds. He did not come out of the game for like a quarter and a half.
I was just going to say, he played the whole first and then the first shift of the. I was actually a little surprised by that.
I'm like, what is going on?
I honestly, it's in a season where everything has gone the best case scenario, right? The overall team success, the production of the young, unproven wings, every player on the roster had basically the best season of their career. Missoula showed things, it was a best Missoula case type season. So in a way, it's like, of course we would get the best possible conceivable outcome from Tatum's, like, take out the bucket, the 42 minutes and the
Crazy.
playing a quarter and a half straight is like, there were people like, a 20 game ramp up wouldn't be enough for him to deal with playoff, minutes. And he's playing 42 minutes in his third playoff game.
It's crazy. Yeah. So, I mean, he had the 2 days off coming into this one, which maybe helped to a degree. But the fact that just from the jump, like this wasn't like okay, shit, we're going to need him. It was like, oh,
this is the play. He's on the same.
We're just going to play him 14 straight minutes.
Yeah. Ever since his minute restriction was lifted, his minutes, his touches, everything has been operating as pre-injury Tatum.
Yeah.
Right. Like his shots, how much he has the ball, how long he's on the court, the substitution patterns, like it's almost as like nothing ever happened, which should not be a reality, but here we are.
Yeah, and like I didn't talk to you in all this series yet, but defensively, especially in game one, it's too bad the Sixers went away from this strategy of targeting Jason Tatum in switches, because I thought defensively the way that he held up on switches against Tyrese Maxey was, again, goes into the bucket of I can't believe this is real, because it looks like defensively the same Jason Tatum. And another thing that's the same is now once teams know that, they go away from him. Right. They have like no interest in attacking him. One adjustment I'd maybe like to see is like late in the game, like Derek and Tatum were kind of playing the Maxey's like actions. Just switch that. I'm very comfortable now with Tatum playing out on isolation with Derek, as opposed to having Derek go over the screens when he doesn't have to. When it's in drop on Vooch and Cater, happy for him to do that. But when it's in that action, I trust Tatum. I feel as good as anybody with Tatum isolating on.
It wouldn't surprise me if they save that, for high leverage situations, kind of like tonight, which is why it's like,
tonight maybe,
especially because there was that possession where Maxey was able to get downhill. Derek was just a half step behind, so it's like maybe that's they don't want to show it this early in the series type thing, because there's a lot of basketball to still be played. But I think it's even more surprising that we haven't really gotten any Tatum at the 5. Just they're letting Vooch figure it out, for better or worse. And I thought he was good in stretches. I thought there's a couple of threes that were in and out that's just you wish he had. And defensively, it is it's going to be, you just have to be. I look at it like the Anthony Simons expectation. Can you just be passable, right? Enough to warrant you to just be on the floor. And they'll figure out that little overhelp. I think they're all overhelping way too much in this series, from the bigs to the wings. Hauser had a huge overhelp problem in game 2. So that little 2-man game overhelping with Drummond down the stretch was really frustrating. Annoying. But like at the same time, Vooch is probably like, oh shit, I need to help. I need to stop this drive. For me, that's just probably a film and a rep thing, right? The same way I thought they were so much better getting over screens and contesting against drop. Today, it's not a different game plan. It's just better execution. You know what I mean? And that's what was so annoying of the narratives and the talking after game 2 is like, oh, there's no adjustment. No, it's like you didn't need to adjust. You just need to execute. So it's like you still play drop coverage today, and VJ Edgecombe didn't make 6 threes. Who could have seen that coming? You know what I mean? Like, you don't have to change how you're playing if there's a possibility for you to just execute better with your intended strategy.
Yeah, sometimes it is very simply play better. And you got over screens really well in game 1. You limited threes, you forced them to the mid-range. And today you contested threes way better. And VJ did not get loose early, did not get comfortable early, which meant that he was second-guessing himself in the second half.
Oh, damn.
What?
Oh no, that's the one. I was gonna ask you a trivia question, because I was like, I wanted to see if you could guess the Celtics defensive rating in the fourth quarter, but NBA.com still has last night, not today's. So never mind.
I got you. So before we move off Tatum, and I think the Vooch conversation is important. So Jalen, when asked about Jason Tatum coming through in the clutch in the fourth quarter, I got nothing but trust for Jason Tatum. Yeah, I agree. So through 3 games now, Tatum is averaging 23 points, 10 rebounds, 8 assists on 59.6% true shooting and only 1.7 turnovers. Like, just unbelievable that we're here. And like, that's
23. You said,
like,
what is it? 8, 23, 10, and 8?
23, 10, and 8. The passing continues to be awesome. And if they could hit a couple of, if they could figure out the short roll stuff, that maybe even ticks up even more. And that's somewhat nerfed by, he kind of limited minutes in the first game because they were up by so much. But Tatum's been incredible. I think your point about Vooch. So Vooch plays 30 minutes and 30 seconds tonight, 11.6 boards, 4 assists. He actually had 3 blocks. Now, granted, Vooch was a big part of the turnover problem. He had 4.
4, yeah.
But here's my thing. We'd be down in this series right now if Vooch was not on the team. I'm pretty confident because we would have probably lost tonight if we were relying on just Luka Garza with Neemias Queta continuing to be in foul trouble. And was Vooch perfect tonight? No. Late in that game, the overhelps on the drum and drives when Baylor played great defense, infuriating because Paul George was basically falling down.
Right.
However, we're asking more of Vucevic than we should be allowed to ask. And the fact that he's able to come in and give you 30 minutes, he goes 3 for 9 from 3. Give me that.
But that easily could have been 5 for 9. Like beautiful. Some of those, 2 of those were 90% of the way down. And that's what was
I'll take 3 for 9.
Annoying though. I got to see Andre Drummond catch corner threes, but you can't give me the wide open. Like, that's the shit that's just so annoying.
Andre Drummond's a better corner 3-point shooter than Derek White right now, which is honestly that's we'll hit the big man stuff and then we get back to Derek White because that's probably the biggest swing factor in this series right now. But Queta, we sung his praises maybe as much as anybody on this Celtics roster this season, and I thought absolutely deserved. He comes in at 6th, I think I saw, or 4th in most improved player voting today. Again, well deserved. He's been way below his standard and way below the expectations we have for him in this series so far.
Outside of game 1, I thought he was okay in game 1.
Foul trouble again in game 1. He only played like 15 minutes in game 1.
Yeah. It's
not good enough.
It's certainly, you're going to need better front court production the deeper you get in this, just to look at how things could potentially match up, right? Like, I'm not sold that, the Knicks are dead, so their front court is going to require you to produce. If it ends up being the Hawks, we've seen Okongwu, dominate you on the offensive glass in playoff losses. Like that has happened before. If you get out, then you might have to deal with, the Cavs size or the Pistons size with Duran and Beef Stew. So it's like they're getting by in this series, obviously, because the Sixers front court is just as limited with who they have available. It's not going to be that sweet the further you go deep. Like, you can't be getting unplayable minutes or these mental foul mistakes from your bigs where it's just where, like you said, you're asking things of players that you shouldn't be asking. That's where this team gets into trouble.
Yeah, I think because I tweeted, some pro Vooch stuff after the game because I think he was very essential in this game because of the foul trouble. And it's not to say that he's perfect, covered the defensive issues, but the fact that he gave you enough. He had some defensive plays with the 3 blocks, gave you some nice rebounding, and the passing and the decision making is real. Some of the stuff on the short roll, he was big, finding shooters. Again, the fact that he is willing to take the 9 threes is just as important as making them too.
But you know what? To your point about decision making, he had gotten those 9 threes up, right? But in the biggest moments of the game, it felt like he made the conscious decision, like, I'm not taking this shot. This is for Jason. This is for Tatum, or this is for Jalen. Like, he didn't try to insert himself just because he was wide open. Like, on a couple of those possessions, I'm thinking like, man, like, just pull the trigger. Like, you can shoot and make open threes, but by holding on to the ball and getting it to Tatum, it then led to his dagger. So it's like, I thought it was a good balance of, he took the corner 3 late before the White offensive rebound, which was a shot you have to take. Yep. But there was that one on the left wing that you're like, should he take it? Should he not take it? And he kept the ball moving and it ended up in points. I think that is a situation where when the defense is baiting you, like the defense wants in that spot, they're saying any but Tatum and Brown shoot this basketball and we'll live with it. The same way as Celtics fans were like, anybody but Tyrese Maxey, go ahead and shoot this basketball. So the fact that he didn't take the bait and still gave the ball to the best players, I think is, something to be noted.
It is incredible. The strategy for the Sixers is very clearly shutting down the paint on Tatum and Jalen drives, which is why you're seeing like them struggling at the rim. And this flows into the Derek White shooting stuff, because if he's knocking down these wide open threes, then they're not picking the paint. And as we've seen in previous playoff runs, Derek White has been like a high volume 40% plus 3-point shooter, which opens up the lane for Jason Tatum drives and Jaylen Brown drives. They are treating him like Jordan Walsh now.
And honestly, we've seen this problem show up in multiple eras of Celtics basketball. What it really reminded me was the first Isaiah Thomas playoff run against the Hawks, where nobody could make a shot. They packed the paint. Isaiah couldn't get in the paint. And the lack of shot making of the others is what fucked up the spacing for their best player to get into his, comfort zone. Same thing here. The whole basis of how this team plays is defenses have to guard shooters. And the second that you are forced to guard a shooter, you're dead, because you're given two choices. You can give up a three, or you can give up a layup or a dunk. And, there's no good option. But the second that they don't have to respect the shooting, now everything's tougher. How many times did we see, and give credit to Paul George. His on-ball defense was, he was not, overpowered by Tatum or anything like that. He held his own. And once they're unable to create that advantage by collapsing the defense, that's where the shooting spacing is a little bit more tough. Like Peyton Pritchard hit some prayers that I'm not sure you can really rely on as a normal flow and process of your offense.
Man, that three that Pritchard hit late in the opposite corner with Kelly Oubre on him to put them up. Was that to put them up 3? I think. Like, I want to see him be more aggressive. Like, he had that drive on Boner where it's like, it feels like if that was the regular season, he would have cooked.
He would have gone up. He would have. But Boner
he had the step.
Everything. Yeah,
it's true, man. Coming to the series, I was watching some Boner. I'm like, I can see him giving us some problems, but I watched quite a lot, and I was like, probably not in the end. And game 1 went as if the way that I thought it was, but I thought defensively has been impressive. Paul George has been really good. Oubre's been giving you trouble. I think people hold on to your previous kind of like your anchoring bias. I do think the Sixers have just like played well in the last 2 games. Obviously, they shot the lights out in game 2, but defensively, I think they adjusted from game 1, being physical, switching more of these actions, doing a good job of keeping like Paul George and Oubre on Jalen and Jason. So
but it also helps, think of. I don't know how much closer these last 2 games would have been if, Derek goes 6 for, 15 instead of 3 for 12.
5 for 25.
Like, are you 2 or 3 Derek White made open threes away from having that cushion that we're not feeling right now? And that's what makes these games feel tighter, because, you're not saying, hey, you need to have 30 points, but it's, can you just make an open 3?
Yeah, it's interesting because tonight you shoot 43% on 47 attempts.
Right.
So it's like, how much better can you ask them to shoot? But like, Derek White had 8 wide open threes and made one
of them. Right.
And it's like, because like missing those shots is the reason you end up, because you're 20 for 47 from 3 and you're 36 for 81 overall. So
right.
I always hesitant to do live mathematics on the.
I'll do it for you. It's 16 of 34
from 2
on 2s. 16 of 34, so just under 50%.
Yeah, and D White being bad all year, so that's insane. From Jimmy J, like, you're a psychopath in the chat.
Well, like shooting wise,
but coming to the series in the playoffs, I was like, I'm not worried if I get 33% from Derek White from 3. That's okay. Now, when we're talking about 20% from 3,
it's a problem.
That's a problem.
It's a problem.
Because 33 you can really live with. Because I think if you're shooting 33, I don't think the defense is defending him like the way he's being defended right now. because you're right on that fringe.
And it's when he gets in these fun, he had that missed layup too in the fourth. He gets in his own head a little bit. And listen, I think we just saw the value in him with that late game offensive rebound, which was huge. But in the playoffs, you have to make it's about shot making in the playoffs. And if you think back, I don't know if you watched it, but before the season, I think it was in the starting five, the Netflix series, Durant talked about this. Yeah. He was like, listen, anybody can play defense, right? You can scheme up defense. You can slide your feet. For you to win at a high level and for you to win a championship, you have to score. You have to put the ball in the basket. As Celtics fans, we lived through that in the 2022 finals. We're holding Steph Curry to 100 points, and you can't beat him because Ime couldn't break 100. Oh. Shot making was an issue. It's the same thing nowadays, right? When we lost to the Knicks, what was that? A lack of shot making. Tonight, when they're, letting the Sixers back in it and you're having these droughts, why? Because you weren't converting and you weren't making shots that were open. It sounds like you're dumbing it down and simplifying things, but at this time of year, it's about ball security, rebounding, and shot making. You just have to thrive in those three areas.
I'm torn on the Kevin Durant thing because, of course, it's about making shots, but the other pieces are just as important because Kevin Durant having 9 turnovers, maybe if he worked on his ball handling and his strength, maybe he would have been able to hold on to the ball a little bit more. But yeah, at the end of the day, you got to put the orange ball in the basket, and that's why CJ McCollum at 35 years old is like, hey man, I'm creating better shots than you guys, and I'm knocking them down.
Right. It's
like the metric,
especially in high leverage situations, right? Because you're not really going to have these clutch moments where everybody's missing every shot for the last 3 minutes of the game, and that's just how it goes. Those opportunities demand that you execute and you make your shots, and if you don't, you're not going to like the result, and you're going to blow playoff games that you shouldn't, and then next thing you know, that snowballs. You have one, Tony Brothers game, and now you're behind the 8 ball and your season's over, and that's an underrated part of tonight too. Let's not forget. So, I'm a huge 40-20, truther. I'm working on another theory. I don't know what we should call it. It's like the first team to 2 theory, where
to win 2 in a row.
First team to win 2 in a row in a 7-game series nearly almost always wins it. It could be 2 in a row at the back half of the series. It could be the first 2 games of the series, but tonight.
First team to win 2.
First team to win 2 in a row. That's what you blocked tonight. That's why this was big, not just for the 2-1 lead, but now you have the opportunity to now be the first team to win 2 in a row. So, I'm telling you, go through
I know,
series. This is how it goes.
Well, I'm laughing because on one hand, it's obvious to a degree, right? It's no shit. We're trying to win 4 games here. You won 2 in a row. And it made me laugh because Bill Simmons' thing around this time of year is always all you got to do is go 4-3. And it's hilarious. But this is the thing about the playoffs. It is a small sample thing. You do only have to go 4-3. It's it's great that Derek White was by EPM and by all these advanced metrics that he was an All-NBA player. That does not really matter when you get into game 2 and game 3 and you're like, I fucking need you to make a shot, dude.
Right.
I need CJ McCollum right now.
Right.
I don't care what you did across a big sample that proves your value and your Darko and your LeBron and all this shit. We're trying to win today, and we need to win in 2 days.
Right, yeah. Right. And in that moment, it may require you to make shots.
Yeah,
and you can get the stop, right? You can get a stop, but if you can't capitalize on, and that's what kind of made me nervous is there was a stretch in that fourth quarter where the Sixers were going through a drought of their own. I think they had maybe 3 or 4 straight possessions where they couldn't convert. That's when the Celtics were turning it over, and it's you're wasting this opportunity to give you a margin for error, and it has remained a 1-possession game because now you are not making shots. And even though you're getting stops, it's not helping you because your shot making is not up to par. As soon as Jalen started making shots and Tatum started making shots, look what happened. The defense held up. You were still getting the defensive stops, but now on the other end, you're coming through and you're converting. There's your separation. Now it's a 2-possession game. There's only 1 or 2 possessions left based on the clock, and you win. It sounds like it's like you're dumbing it down and making it so simple, but like in these high leverage situations, that's really all it is.
The game is about a bucket sometimes. Like it gets down to the last 5 minutes, and again, like the last 5 minutes is almost the even more shrunk down version of one playoff game. It's like I don't care what your playoff offensive rating is. I don't care about that you were top 5 in offense and defense in the regular season. That you're the betting favorite in the Eastern Conference. We have 5 minutes. Derek White got an offensive rebound. Jaylen Brown 17-footer tween pull up. Jason Tatum 2 big dagger threes. And that's how you win the game. Granted, there was a lot of other stuff that go into, but when it's in those moments, you need to get it done. Before we keep going, I'm going to pay a quick bill about talking about prize picks here. Playoff push, certainly heating up. And there's no better way to cash in on the high-flying hoops than Prize Picks, America's #1 sports pick app. Every bucket, every dime, and every win means more when you're playing on Prize Picks. And with the brand new Teams Picks market, you can now pick games, winners, spreads, and totals on top of the player picks you already know. And if you're like me, you just pick the team that's playing against the Celtics. So if they lose, you're still happy. So cash in if you're right during all the clutch buckets, slam dunks, and Cinderellas this spring with Team Picks on Prize Picks. Download the Prize Picks app today and pick your first game winner, spread, or total as the playoff push rolls on, and get $50 in daily fantasy lineups when you play your first $5 lineup when you use code CLNS. That's code CLNS to get $50 in daily fantasy lineups when you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, we love it. But don't forget, Prize Picks is a registered FCM offering team picks and culture picks as event contracts. Trading involves significant risk, not for all. The content provided is for informational, educational purposes only and does not constitute investment advice, a recommendation to trade any commodity interest or an open account. First of floor is not registered with the CFTC or NFA. Prize Picks does not endorse or guarantee any statements made by first of floor promoters or influencers. Please consult with a qualified professional before making any trading decisions. Greeny, Jordan Walsh, team high plus 18, tied with Peyton Pritchard as a team high plus 18, who big nuts grenade launching threes from Peyton Pritchard. 0 points for Jordan Walsh. One of the best 0-point performances I thought have seen.
Yeah, I thought all the bench players played to their ceiling in this game, which is what you need on the road. Like you need your play the same way they had their role players come through for them and the others on their team come through in game 2. You got that early. It was the Vooch and Pritchard threes and the Walsh defense. Then you had the Baylor moments in there for a little bit, buying you some buckets and some good defense and some rebounding. And I just think this is sort of what maybe lessens the Derek White. The Derek White struggles are really only truly painful when the others aren't doing their job. When Hauser's missing, Peyton can't buy a bucket. Like when the others show up, you're like, all right, Derek gets a mulligan on this one. We survived it. So I think they were as important as the Jays were in the final 3 minutes. I thought the bench was that important the entire game.
Yeah, I thought in the first half in particular, they're awesome. I don't know what is going on with NBA.com. I can't pull up any of the clips. I can't filter the fourth quarter, whatever. Doesn't matter. Would you move Jordan Walsh into the starting lineup? Because Hauser has been providing he knocked down 2 threes in this one, which was huge. Doesn't feel like it led to Philly overreacting and changing the way they were protecting the paint. But on the other hand,
I still say no. And the only reason I say no is just for even though if the Sixers aren't overreacting to the spacing, just having the spacing on the floor next to Tatum and Brown, I think is more valuable, at least for the start of games. I think he's the barometer of like, if he can make an early 3 or 2, I think that's sort of what helps everyone going. But I would say you should not have it should be a quick switch to get Walsh in if Hauser doesn't have it. But I'm not ready to say you should take him out because I value that shooting and that spacing too much at this stage still.
I'd really consider it because I think that he's been the best at. I thought Derek played incredible defense today as well, but when Walsh is out there, he's been getting around these screens and he limits the 3-point attempts for the Sixers. And if you're able to string together stops, I think that the boost that gives your offense might counteract
the spacing. That's fair. That's fair.
I'm not anti. Like I'd be fine starting with Hazard, and I'm with you. Like just be willing to pull that lever quickly. And like if they start to get loose from, by attacking Hauser or just in general, because Walsh defensively, and we saw it in the regular season against Maxey as well in that incredible performance in Philly again, ironically. Yeah. So I'd be really considering it because I'm very, very, very impressed with the way that he's making Maxey uncomfortable and forcing him into.
Well, let me ask you this: is the answer to that then, instead of starting him, maybe just playing more Tatum at the 5 minutes to then have Walsh at the 4? So if you're looking, instead of, if like those 7 Garza minutes, right, or whatever he played, what if that's a Tatum at the 5 and you're adding 7 more minutes of Walsh in that lineup? So I don't know. It's impossible to know what Joe will ever do game to game, but I feel like not making that change today told us that this is probably the unit he's going to roll with as long as everyone's healthy.
I think that we're going to have to lose another game for.
Yeah, that's what I mean. You know what I mean? Like something,
right?
Something or like Hauser's going to have to just, be unplayable, which he has not been to warrant a change like that.
Because at the end of the day, like today, right? You turn the ball over 17 times. Cater has been a non-factor in the series so far. Derek White hasn't been able to hit a shot. Like there's a bunch of stuff that I think is not game plan, lineup, rotation related at all. It's like very much controllable, specifically the turnovers tonight. If you can take care of that problem in particular and play the same game plan you played tonight and you get Cater to stay out of foul trouble, then maybe you're just able to go in and you build a 12-point lead early and you go out and you win as a 8-point favorite the way that you should.
Yeah, because I mean, 18 or 21 points off turnovers. I'm curious at the second chance points. I bet you there's got to be at least 15 or 16 second chance points. So I would bet close to 30%, over 30% of the Sixers' offensive production came from second chance points and turnovers.
Yeah.
So if you can address those two things, you cut that in half, it's going to force them to execute in the half court. And I feel like as devastating as Maxey is, he's another guy who might not always be as efficient. You have VJ Edgecombe, who's a rookie, who's going to be up and down. Like you're opening the path for more ways for the Sixers to come up short if you just stop shooting yourself in the foot and giving away 30, 40 points a game on self-inflicted wounds.
Yeah, exactly. I think those things are controllable and things that they've been controlling all season long. I think you clean that up before you make any wholesale lineup changes, but with the caveat that like you should be willing to make that decision because Walsh is now starting to prove that he can help you with slowing down Maxey. And man, Maxey again, 12 for 30, like he has the 31 points on 31 shots though.
Right.
Like really in the entire series, you've kept him in check. Game 2 was the VJ Edgecombe game, and Maxey had those 2 huge threes late. But outside of like those big moments for Maxey, I'm very happy with
as acceptable as he's the only one that takes shots for them. So like he's gonna get his point total. It just you have to really be able to step up late, which they were able to do. But let me ask you this: isn't it interesting how we haven't seen Ugo, but with Baylor and with Walsh, these playoff games do not feel like they are too big. The lights are not too bright for either of them. And I think that is really noticeable given it's their first real playoff rotation opportunity in a season where you are expected to basically win the title. Like they have slid right into that opportunity. And obviously as the opponents get tougher and the pressure mounts, we'll see how that goes. But this was another pretty much must-win game on the road, and I thought both Walsh and Baylor filled their roles about as well as you could want them to, in their opportunity.
I don't think there's a light that's bright enough to deter Baylor Scheinman from
It's
feeling
it's
confident.
unbelievable.
It's
It's
crazy.
real. Like you don't see that from 30th picks in the NBA draft.
Their second season, at least. That's
Right.
for sure. So he had that. He had 2 threes, 2 for 4 in the first half. And he had it's becoming his shot now, like that pump fake and sidestep 3. Going to his right when he's a
The
left-hander.
relocate, the relocate, yeah.
That's tough. We got the thumbs up celebration. Walsh had he only had what, 2 field goal attempts. I do for him in particular.
He missed that 3. Yeah.
Yeah, missed that 3 late, which kind of was a grenade. I will say for Walsh, like someone needs to get in his ear. I wouldn't say he's playing that different offensively to the regular season. He knows he's not really out there to take shots. But I'm like, if you are going to be out there, we do need you to be aggressive if the ball comes to you. Like it was kind of late in the shot clock. He ended up swinging the ball back and you ended up getting, and that 3-pointer that he took was a worse look than when the first one came to him. Shots on goal, man.
Right.
Coming
Get
to
it up. The more you think, the worse it's going to get. Like the worst thing you could do is not taking the shot. Nobody, even if you airball it, there's like a 7% chance that we'll get the offensive rebound on an airball. So it's like the worst possible outcome by you shooting is still better than you hesitating and not being aggressive. But also, if you don't feel comfortable taking the 3, I'm more than comfortable with him putting the ball on the floor. And he has such length, and I feel like he's like baby Tatum. He just gets in there, he can just get even if it rolls off the rim, that's still a higher percentage possession. It still opens up Kadar or Vucevic or Tatum or whoever to get the offensive rebound, even if it's a contested. So for him, it's like you're not going to get taken out of the game if you do something offensively. Have the confidence, and once he does that, it's like, okay, now you're a 15 to 20 minute playoff rotation player.
Yeah. I think that's incredibly key. You have to stay confident and aggressive. And even if he puts on the deck, I trust him to make the read as well.
Right.
It's like, these guys are really poised at the back end of the shot clock. Just make that pump fake. And he's really good at getting a step, and guys are open. So I kind of trust him to be aggressive. What's worse is pump faking, getting hesitant and swinging the ball back out. So going into game 4, we have 1 day out, 1 day off now. Looking at the odds quickly here. Same as tonight, 7.5-point favorites on the road. Obviously huge. Go do the Greeny 2 in a row, wins the series.
Listen, that's honestly, you laugh, but like you go through every playoff series pretty much ever. Like you just don't see a whole lot of alternating win-loss, game 7. Like that's just not how it goes. Somebody wins 2 in a row, and usually the team that does is the one that wins. And that's what makes game 4 so, because again, today was about, regaining life, right? Like getting wind back under your sails, atoning for what happened in game 2, regaining control. That's what game 3 was about. You did that. Game 4 is like, okay, now we need to end the series and step on throats, right? Like you got your new life. Now it's about, we're going to win 2 in a row. We're going to have the opportunity to close things out at home. We're not going to play. Now we're in play with your food territory, right? Yep. Like game 2 was like the appetizer. You played with it. You got burned. Tonight, you got it. You got like another gift card to spend on a meal. Like don't play with your food in game 4 and game 5. End the series, because for all we know, the Knicks series is going to go the distance. So you have an even more opportunity to get rest. You lower the opportunity to get hurt or for something bad to happen. You kill any opportunity for a prayer game winner that extends the series. And now, you're in a do or die game 7 where anything can happen. Like you afforded yourself the opportunity to step on a throat in game 4. You have to, like a champion will step on the throat. Just like in 2024, they were in Miami. They won game 3. What did they do? They came back and won game 4.
Same in the Cavs series.
Cleveland, they won game 3. They won game 4. Like, that's what a champion, then you look at last year, they won game 3. They didn't win game 4. You couldn't get both. And I think
you don't have the wiggle room.
Right.
And like you see I was not able to fully enjoy the Knicks losing to the Atlanta Hawks.
Because I was nervous about tonight.
I was very able to enjoy their game 2 loss because we were up 1-0 in the series, and I stupidly thought the Celtics would win a game 2 where they were favored by 14 points at home. But I tweeted after the Knicks loss, it's like, hey, Celtics, this is lining up for you. Whoever comes out of this round 2 series, one, a Hawks team that doesn't really have the talent in theory to play with you, or at minimum, a Knicks team that's just come out of a grueling 6-game series, probably a 7-game series if the Knicks win this at this point.
Right.
Things are lining up for you. And then and then to go even further, it's like the Cavs and the Pistons.
Well, listen, if Toronto, maybe they're going to fight back.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
That's why tonight was so important, because it was the first step in not blowing that opportunity, right? You have to capitalize when the path unfolds for you. The champions take advantage of that and say, okay, time to lock in, time to really help our own case for a long playoff series or a long playoff run.
Yeah. Historically, it feels like that's not something that the Boston Celtics.
No. Well,
like
pre-title.
So big opportunity in game 4. This is where all series game 4s are the best. When the series are 2-1, you go on 6 minimum or a team goes up 3-1. Like this is the game of the series to decide whether it's going to be one of those series or not. So let's hope it's not one of those series.
No, please God. But you know what? Like, I still feel like the Celtics haven't really played that well for 2 straight games.
Agreed.
So it's like,
which is a good thing.
It feels like they usually get more than one good performance in a 7-game series. You know what I mean? So it's like, this was the game 2 was the annual disaster troll game. Tonight was the win in the clutch on the road, prove you can take a punch on the chin game. Or Sunday could very well be belt to ass. We now have the confidence. We've survived 2 duds. Like, we made 23s tonight. I would love to see that, but just without 17 turnovers, and you'll win by 25 points.
Yeah. Take care of the ball, rebound, play defense, win the game.
That's pretty simple where I'm sitting. I don't know about you. That seems like a pretty simple plan.
That's what I would do personally if I was the Boston Celtics. Greeny, it's been a pleasure. I'm glad the Celtics delivered a win for us to go up 2-1 in the series, because I really didn't want to be down 2-1. That would not have been.
But you know what? You can't give it right back. Same thing. Like you can't give it back. So
but you like, even if they do lose, at least, I mean, it's the first round. We have big aspirations. Go out and fucking win game 4. Everybody in the chat, it's been a pleasure. Like the stream while you're here. We'll be back at some point in the near future. Till next time, go Celtics.